kidnapped. The headlines scream, the nation is paralyzed in shock. Is it possible? The president kidnapped? Without a moment's hesitation, you know who's responsible. The Dragon Ninja. As Blade or Striker, aka the bad dudes you take to the streets to rescue the president. But the Dragon Ninja is ready for you. He sends wave after wave of relentless ninja, vicious dogs, and other enemies to stop you. Armed with knives, shurikens, and nunchucks, you must fight tooth and nail in alleys, on waterways, even on moving semi-trucks. In the end, if you're bad enough, you take on the Dragon Ninja himself. You must defeat him and snatch the president from the helicopter that's about to whisk him away to who knows where. It'll take every skill you've ever mastered, and a few new ones, to be bad. Or so they want you to believe in Bad Dudes from Data East, released in 1990. Officially known as Bad Dudes vs. Dragon Ninja, or Bad Dudes, or Dragon Ninja in Japan. It's a 1988 arcade game from Data East. The game was followed by a 1991 spiritual successor known as Two Crude Dudes, which was known in Japan as Crude Buster, which that's a cool name, Crude Buster. After Data East became defunct due to bankruptcy in 2003, G-Mode bought the intellectual rights to the arcade game, as well as most other Data East games, and licensed them globally. Gameplay of Bad Dudes is similar somewhat to the Konami arcade game Russian Attack, but featuring 2 players at once. Player 1 controls Blade in white pants, player 2 controls Striker in green pants. Yes. Start with nothing but the ability to punch, kick, and jump. Some moves are special, like spinning kicks, and the ability to charge themselves up with inner energy by holding the punch button to throw a powerful long-range attack that hits all opponents in front of the players. That is the arcade version, though. I don't believe that exists in the NES version. Each boss of the game has their own special attacks. We run into a boss at the end of each level. The first of them, musically, graphically, attackically, happens to be our good baby-eating buddy Karnov. Background music is very similar to the main theme of the Karnov game as well. After a successful completion of each level, the dudes strike a bad pose and proclaim, "I'm bad." The shout and the game's American wordmark logo are both similar to the Michael Jackson song released the previous year. In the Japanese version, the quote was originally just a battle cry. So we start off in Washington, D.C., where President Ronnie, wonder who that could be, this was the 80s, has been abducted by the nefarious Dragon Ninja clan. The game intro begins, rampant ninja-related crimes these days. White House is not the exception, blah, 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 blah. Again, this is the arcade version. The 8-bit versions, including the PC version, which was technically 16-bit, lacked the 2-player co-op mode, instead of having an alternating 2-player mode. The title screen of the Japanese version became different, while the English versions was left unchanged. The Secret Service agent's quote at the intro screen to the NES was phrased slightly different. Became the very well-known, "The president has been kidnapped by ninjas. Are you a bad enough dude to rescue the president?" While the Famicom's counterpart quote was slightly similar to the International Arcade and the NES quote. The reference to President Ronnie was removed because Nintendo of America did not allow political content in games. In that version, the president bears a resemblance to George H.W. Bush, who was president when the game was released. The endings of the 2 versions are based on the International Arcade version. However, the Japanese version does not show credits, but only the end at the White House scene, and lasts a shorter time than the English version. The 8-bit home computer versions lacked the intro from either the arcade or the NES. The "I'm bad" speech was only present in the NES version. However, it does not sound identical to its arcade counterpart. Karnov, the titular character from the Data East arcade game, made a cameo, as we talked about, as the game's first boss. The background music during the fight with him plays homage to the main theme of his game. The NES instruction manual claims that the reason Karnov is working with the ninjas is a mystery. The titular character of another Data East game, Chenlov, can be seen being transported in a frozen container on a freight train in the arcade version. Bad Dudes. Compared it kind of favorably, most magazines did, to other games like Renegade and Double Dragon. The Apple II port was pretty crap, though. The ZX Spectrum sales charts, this was ranked number 2 behind RoboCop. And, who can say? You know, the game is not super great. It's not a bad game. It's just not a super great game. But it did leave kind of a legacy here. It's you know, it is what it is. In Parenthood, the 1989 movie, Steve Martin's character, his son, is playing the game. And he's like, "Why is this game so hard?" To which Steve Martin replies, "Because they're bad dudes." The Bad Dudes logo can be seen at the end of Stage 4 in Sly Spy, which is another Data East arcade game. In RoboCop 2, Officer Duffy gets pushed by RoboCop into a Bad Dudes arcade cabinet. But with Sly Spy built into it, oddly enough. The game's intro, "Are you a bad enough dude?" Obviously, we're all aware of this, has become a meme and is often lampooned on various websites. And the Sam and Max Beyond Time and Space, spoofs the Bad Dudes intro in the episode Chariots of the Dogs. Yeah. Pretty decent. Not a super great game, but you know what? It's pretty fun. Data East. It's pretty on par for what Data East did for us.